taking a conservative view on all of this. And this is because AI is evolving so quickly, right? It's changing every month and every day probably. And so you don't know where it's going to like level out. And it may never level out.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Welcome back to the Appraiser Coach podcast. My name is Dustin Harris, and I am the Appraiser Coach, but definitely not the expert today. Today, I've got Jeff Bradford with me. Jeff Bradford is the founder and CEO of Bradford Technologies. He holds three master's degrees, one in engineering mechanics from the University of Texas at Austin, a computer science, and an MBA from Santa Clara University in Santa Clara, California, and his undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering from New Mexico State University in New Mexico. He began his career in the early days of Apple Computer, believe it or not, and recently was awarded the Mentor of the Year award at the 2025 Val Expo. Jeff, first of all, welcome to the program. It's good to have you, my friend.
It's good to be here. Good to see you.
What's interesting? Before the interview started, I wanted to do a shout out to the last episode that you were on, and I started looking. And to my dismay and surprise, you've never been on the Appraiser Coach podcast.
I haven't, and that's why I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, it is my honor and pleasure to have you. You know, it's shocking to me because you and I talk enough, at least a couple times a year, either over the phone or some of the conferences. And I consider you a friend. I'm not sure if that feeling's mutual, but I definitely consider you a friend and a mentor to me. And so I just figured you'd been on, more than once. And I don't know why we've never made this connection, but thank you for taking the time, being willing to be on, my friend. It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
I want to start with, first of all, a big thank you to you. This last year, we held our first Elevate retreat. It happened to be in California, in the mountains near Yosemite. And out of the goodness of your heart, you got in the car and drove a very long way with your wife and showed up and gave our keynote speech. And it was absolutely amazing. I think everybody there at the retreat just really appreciated the time that you spent, the expertise that you brought to the floor. And one of the things that you talked about was technology. And that's really what I want to talk about today is technology, software. And of course, the realm that you're in is starting out with Apple Computer back in the day. I don't think you were actually in the garage with the founders, but darn close, my friend. You've come a long way.
Being at Apple was quite an experience because before that, I used to be a structural engineer. And so switching from doing computer-aided analysis and that kind of stuff to now working on this microcomputer business was a huge switch. But it changed my life because I was at Apple at the time when the Macintosh was being born, was being created. And so going through all of that, rigmarole and chaos and we're changing the world and infighting between different factions at Apple and Lisa Computer and Macintosh Computer. And it was a fascinating time. But you come out of there believing that a person can change the world. You can make a difference. You have to have perseverance. You have to have a vision, but a person can do it. And when you have that kind of belief, I think you end up having a business for 38 years like we have.
Well, I would say you've definitely changed the appraisal world at least, and if not the world as a whole, bringing your expertise to the table. And that's really the direction I want to go today, Jeff, is to pick your brain just a little bit. You've had a vast array of experience throughout your life with the software, appraisal specifically software. Bradford Technology has been around a long time. Very generic question, but I think we can take this a lot of different directions. Where do you see the appraisal software world headed in the next few years?
I think, Dustin, I think this is one of those points in time. It's an inflection point, right? The GSEs, March of 23, blew up the world with their new specs. They said, we want this dynamic report, all these new data points. And so all you vendors, software developers, you have to start from scratch and build something brand new. And so that allowed a lot of companies to rethink the purpose or the value of software for appraisers. And so for 38 years, we had been building form filling software.
True.
Right. And when we started, 38 years ago, we figured we were in the publishing business. Our job was to help appraisers publish their appraisal report. Okay. We weren't going to tell them how to do their business. We just helped them publish it. Somewhere along the line, we became known as form fillers, and the software industry was known as form filling software. And today, though, it got blown up, right? Now, some companies are still following that path of we're just going to help the appraiser complete that report. But others, and they're bringing in, hang on one sec. Let me turn this thing off over here. Others are taking a different tack, and they're bringing in artificial intelligence to help publish that report. Others are saying, you know what? We have so much technology. Let's help that appraiser develop the valuation. And we'll also help them publish that report. But let's help them in the whole spectrum, right? Not just at the end. And so I think, it takes software a while to get built, wiggle a little bit, and then get mature. So I think by 2028, it's like 3 years from now, every software vendor is going to be writing software to help appraisers develop that entire business, the entire valuation. And when that happens, now you're in competition with who can do it faster, who can do it better, who can create that irrefutable valuation, not just supportable, but right. Don't even try to refute this, right? It's golden. And that's going to be happening. And then I think we'll see where AI is. It's changing rapidly, right?
Yeah.
And so by 2030, just 5 years from now, I think people are going to be walking around, appraisers, be walking around with some kind of tablet, probably an iPad. Apple's leading this in this area, and they're going to be able to do the entire appraisal out in the field.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
I mean, it's because if you're connected and think where connectivity is going to be in 5 years, right? It's going to get better and better and better, faster, cheaper, hopefully. But you're going to be connected, and AI's up there. The cloud, the services are all up there. Why not bring them to bear right at the site?
You mentioned AI. I want to dive into that, Jeff, in just a little bit. But I do want to pause and remind people of a couple of great sponsors here. Of course, we've got OREP Insurance. OREP is my E&O of choice. Has been for many, many years now. And I'll tell you why, folks. They are not an insurance company as much as they are an insurance broker. What does that mean? What's the difference? The difference is, folks, a broker can shop your specific needs with specific companies, and they are there to serve your best needs. Check them out by going to orep.org. That's OREP.org. True Home Tracker, folks. True Home will allow you to not just replace a now or whatever system you're using to track your orders, but it truly is a system for your business. If you understand how the Appraiser Coach works and the systems and procedures that I've been teaching for years, this is the software that integrates it into your business. The ability to not just get the orders in and out and get everything done on time, but to manage every aspect of your business. It is not report writing software, as Jeff's been talking about today. We don't want to touch that. It's the system that allows your business to focus on movement and movement forward and success. Check them out by going to my website, TheAppraiserCoach.com. Click on products, scroll to the bottom, and you're going to click on True Home Tracker. Of course, we're sponsored and have been for a couple of years now by a great company that makes software to allow you to be able to support your adjustments. That software is Spark, it's Synapse, it's TrueTrax. Check them out by going to truefootage.tech/tools. That's truefootage.tech/tools. And right now, if you use my coupon code, the Appraiser Coach, actually Appraiser Coach, just Appraiser Coach, capital A, capital C, no space, you will get not just the 2 weeks free that they give to everyone, but you get an additional 4 weeks. That's 6 weeks to try out TrueTrax on truefootage.tech. Welcome back, Mr. Jeff Bradford. So honored to have you here, my friend. I really appreciate you taking time. Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about Nighthawk, but first, you had mentioned AI, and you and I were at the Val Expo this year in September in Vegas. Great to see you there. And you were on stage with a couple of other individuals that I could only classify as there were 4 people up there. 3 of them very, very gung-ho about AI. Let's move, let's go, let's use AI. And then one of them was a little bit more reserved. That individual was we'll say the initials were JB, and made the comment, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, that Bradford Technologies is not diving headfirst into AI. And rather than me say why, I'm just going to turn it over to you, Jeff. Explain why you're not 100% into this AI thing with Nighthawk and the new things that are happening there at Bradford.
Yeah, we're taking a conservative view on all of this, and a lot of this is because AI is evolving so quickly. Right, it's changing every month and every day probably, and so also so it's changing a lot. That's one, and so you don't know where it's going to level out, and it may never level out. Right.
Yeah.
The other one is that there are times where it can lie to you, because I think it's been programmed to please you, to answer you, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to come back with some answer that it hopes you like. And so if the appraiser is asking for data, it's like, well, where'd you get the data? Oh, now I got to go verify whatever, right? But the other things are it's going to come back with things that's going to be right most of the time, but sometimes it's not. And here's the issue for us: the times that it's not may get into your appraisal report, and that may cause a buyback. That may cause your report to be flagged someplace. And so why take that chance at this point? We're definitely going to use AI. We use a lot of AI just in programming.
Right.
And so, but it's managed by a very skilled programmer. And so it's like an assistant. And we can then, we can spot where it's wrong. The appraiser is not going to be that knowledgeable. They're going to be trusting. But here's an example of where we will use it, right? And this is that conservative approach. So we're going to take the sales contract, and that's normally a 10-minute, 12-minute read for the appraiser to extract contract price, things like this, right? Well, if you feed that contract to an agent that's been trained to extract that information,
Right.
that's a 5-second job,
Mm.
right? But now, do you trust it? Well, if it comes back and says, I'm highlighting the areas that I took the information from, and you just have to scroll through there, double check it,
Right.
that 10 or 12-minute job became 1 minute.
Right.
And that's the kind of efficiency that we think AI can bring to the table in a very, very reliable fashion.
Mm. I love it.
Right?
So, in other words, if I could pare it back, what I think I'm understanding, just to make sure that that you and I are on the same page, it's not that Bradford Technologies is not going to utilize and integrate AI, but slow down, take the conservative approach, as you said, and do so in a smart fashion. In other words, avoid the trouble that appraisers might get into with the, what I call the black box issue, right? Trust too much trust in the unknown. Wait till we have a little bit more experience, can understand how AI works, how it does hallucinate or lie to us, as you said, and so that we can help guide the technology. Once we're at that point, then can we see a head first dive in?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. Roy Meyer was at your retreat up on the mountain, which I thoroughly enjoyed being there.
Oh, I'm so glad you were there.
You have a great group of people.
Mm.
He has a great way of introducing AI into business. And I think if you're looking at how do I expand my business, give me some ideas, give me an outline, do all these kinds of things. How do I start providing appraisals for the legal or divorce or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can do a lot of good in that area, right? But that's your one-to-one, help me grow my business kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great there.
Yeah.
It's just when it becomes this legal document.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. That we want to make sure that it's just dead on and not even slightly off because, it's a trust issue.
Well, and it's good to recognize that, and it's good to watch Bradford Technologies proceed cautiously, but proceed in that direction. Specifically, I've had an opportunity to look at your demos with Nighthawk. For those who are listening who have not had a chance to look at Nighthawk, how do you classify it as being different than, say, the other software vendors out there for appraisers?
Yeah, excuse me. If picture a train, okay?
Mm.
Now, the train starts with the order. You were advertising appraisal home order, right?
Mm-hmm.
It probably starts there with I got an order. Let me manage the order. And then the appraiser does all this work through the length of the train to produce a valuation, highest and best use, review the sales contract, all of these things, right? And the GSEs have added, I don't know, 1,000 points or whatever that the appraiser needs to look at and collect. And so this train's really long. And so at the very end over here is the caboose. Well, that's where you have to produce the report because you've done all this work over here in front and you've jotted down and whatever and whatever. And so when you get to the end of the train, now there's software on let's produce that report. And you have to fill in the blanks because it's a dynamic report, right? Mm-hmm. Every report you produce is going to be slightly different, slightly different. And so our software, okay, so if we continued as being a form filler in that lane, we would be working at the caboose end of the train.
Right. Okay.
Right. Okay. So when we saw the world blow up, we thought we have all this technology. We're trying to bring in Spark and Solomon and Data Master and all that, and they're all kind of scattered throughout the train, right? So why don't we build the train, partner with the Solomons and Sparks and all that, so they can plug themselves in these various areas, but let's help the appraiser produce this appraisal report really fast.
I
So
like that.
so that they're really, I mean, we want them to be very customer service oriented, right? It can't take a week to do an appraisal, right? It has to be compressed. And so the example I gave you about the sales contract, right? 10 minutes to 5 seconds or 1 minute, 10 to 1 kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we can get that kind of compression in the entire process, that appraiser is now, their ROI is going to go through the roof,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we've developed this engine, if you will, to produce a report. So now, based on all the information that you entered and analyzed, we extract it, give it to this engine over here, and in 10 seconds, that report's produced for you. And so you just took and I'll tell you, if we do it by hand, 5-hour job. If you feed all the data into the train, into all the cars, it's a 10-second job.
Mm.
And that's the difference. So we're trying to take as many steps, and I will tell you, I hate to kind of say this, but there's about 70 steps in the process.
Right. Yeah.
When you look at everything that an appraiser has to do and account for, there's about 70 steps in there. And so we'll compress all that, and then in 10 seconds, there's your report.
Mm.
And that's what we're trying to do.
That's the easy button you talk about, right?
That's the easy button. That's right.
I love it. For those who are interested in learning more, you can just go to bradfordsoftware.com/Nighthawk. It's spelled NIGHT Hawk, WAWK. There's a great webinar there, a recent webinar that Jeff did, just kind of explaining more detail. Jeff, tell us a little bit about the timeline. I know that a lot of appraisers have been concerned, the 3.6 rolling out September, I think it was 8th. We're supposed to be, starting to use it a little bit, and then a little bit more after the first of the year. And then by the end of next year, we're supposed to be full-fledged into this. But a lot of appraisers come to me and say, Dustin, I got all concerned about 3.6 and I'm not getting any 3.6 orders. What's going on here?
Yeah, so we thought we were going to be able to provide single family appraisals on September 8th. Mm-hmm. And we were geared up for that. And then I think in August or somewhere in that time frame, the GSEs came back and said, nope, your software has to be totally complete. And that means you have to be able to do, there's 15 different sample reports of all kinds of properties. And you have to be able to do all of those. And so that was a buzzsaw, came in and chopped everybody.
Got it.
And so, all of us, Alamode, ACI, SFRP, all these guys are now, working their butts off, trying to produce these sample reports to be verified. And it's two pieces. One is the data has to be correct and the report has to be correct. And by being correct, it has to look exactly like their sample report. So a line could be 1 pixel in width. It might have to be 2 pixels, right? And so it kind of gets a little crazy. But so there's really 30 tests that everybody has to pass.
Okay.
And so that's where everybody is.
Well, and I appreciate that. The rumor mill out there, mostly on social media, is that the GSEs laid all of this out, and the software companies just couldn't get ready in time. Sounds to me like they were very ready, and then all of a sudden the game changed, the rules changed.
There's a little bit of that. Some people weren't ready at all, but we were definitely geared up for single family. And anyway, but that's a story behind it. Okay. I think like on our side now, we said, forget limited production. We may open it up to beta testers here in November or early December, but we're really gearing for the production date. We want to be fully functional on the production date. And then I think, there's only like 10 lenders in the whole country that are ready to issue orders. And so if you happen to work for an AMC that works for one of those lenders, you may get an order. But I think for the first quarter of next year, it's going to be mainly 1004s. And then you'll start to see, there's going to be a point where there's more UAD 3.6 versus 1004s, but it's lenders have to be involved with this also. So they have to get up to speed. VA, FHA, USDA, all of these guys are still 1004s. So it's kind of a murky environment out there. This is a lot of fun. It's a great time to do this. My pleasure to be here with you.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit TheAppraiserCoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.